Hello, everyone, and welcome to League Review for the last time, probably this year, outside of the Demacia Cup. But I'm your host, William, and it's just me today, though Brian's here, but he did not get a chance to watch the games. But he's here in spirit in the chat, so he will be participating through there probably. Congratulations to Fun Plus Phoenix. They pulled it off. They are the victors. Super excited to see that they were able to overcome pretty much a lot of doubt that about their team and about their playstyle per se by certain analysts, and very happy about it. Very, very, very happy for Doinby and the rest of the team. They've worked really hard all year. I've been telling you guys since like August maybe. I don't. When was like it was like week 6 or week 7 LPL summer 2000. It was like week 6 or week 7. I was like, oh man, this team, guys, like this is a very exciting team to watch. Like I don't think I've seen a better team fighting team. Yeah, so that's probably it was July. It wasn't week 6 because they didn't play. We're week 7. Fun plus Phoenix. Fun plus Phoenix. Hmm. Oh well, I can't find it. It was around the middle of the season when I figured it out, and I'm like, damn, this team is very, very good. I think it was when they beat RNG, I believe, or it was when they beat a top tier LPL team. It was either RNG, it wasn't IG because they lost that one, but or maybe it was top that they beat. I don't remember, but yeah, it was truly remarkable run by them. Doinby, unfortunately, I heard that he's thinking about retirement, but I mean, can't blame him. He's 24. Hey Brian, Brian made it. Dwayne 24. He's got a wife. I don't know. I don't know if they want to start a family or not, but 24 with a wife. League schedule's probably not too forgiving, and the amount of, especially with the amount of practice that they said they were doing, that Fun Plus Phoenix had to actually tell the players that they need to turn off the power by uh, by 3 a.m. and that they need to go to bed, and then Kim Goon persuaded him not to because he said he needed more practice. It's just like they worked really hard. Not that I mean every team works really hard as well, so it's not just them. But that kind of stress in for being a professional player, I can see why if you make bank off of Worlds and you're gonna be even more famous than you already are in China as a streamer. Why not just stream and have a relaxing life with your wife instead of the stress from competition? But we'll see. He said it's a possibility. It's not a confirm yet, but it's a possibility. If it is a confirm, he went out on top. Just he proved to everyone that he is the best. And no matter what some people might think that he might be the worst mid laner in the tournament, he proved them wrong. I would hope that they that they noticed. And which, if you watch some of those people's streams, they didn't really. But man, it was a hell of a tournament by him and FBX as a whole. Brian said, "Check out my cool badge." Yeah, what's that badge for? Is that first founder 6 month subscriber? Woo! Thank you very much. But yeah, that's Fun Plus in general. The first game against G2. I mean, we could do. Let's do. We haven't done this in a while. Let's do a review. Uh, because I mean, we got no games to predict or anything. We've been trying to like force the game predictions and the analysis on that, but we got nothing else left. So let's go to the main event and the finals match history. At least it's only 3 of them. It's not going to take too long. But yeah, we had game 1. Game 1 was thrilling. Is this what game was? Game 1 really 22-7? It was. Damn. This game much closer than the score shows. Like I was so surprised by that score. We had G2. They took the Rise away from FPX. They banned the Kiana. Very smart ban. Banning the Xayah was very questionable for me. I guess because FPX had banned Kai'Sa, they didn't want to give FPX Xayah first pick. But I would possibly even say that you can maybe, well, hindsight, no, you couldn't, because FPX did exactly what I wanted them to do, and they took away any opportunity for Xayah all series long from Perkz, and that's Perkz is no question the best Xayah in the world. I believe Frosk said that on the analyst, like on the cooldown after the SKT series, and it's absolutely true. Perkz is a god on the Xayah, and if he's 100, Xayah is to me if against G2 what Pantheon is to the rest of the tournament. I want Xayah banned every single game against G2. Luckily enough, you can play around this with like Fun Plus Phoenix was very, very smart in banning the Kai'Sa, which is the other option in the bot lane for the most part. And then by doing that, they forced G2 to pick Xayah, and then G2 had to take the Varus Tahm Kench because obviously LWX and Crisp had played Varus Tahm Kench like 3 or 4 times this Worlds, and they're very, very good on it. So you have to force that away from them. And then they went with a little bit of an off meta. We haven't seen her in a while with Sivir, and we had Crisp on the Thresh, and man, Crisp on Hook champions is disgusting. His Nautilus is disgusting. His Thresh is disgusting. His Blitzcrank is pretty good from Worlds is what we've seen. I didn't really see his Blitzcrank too much before that because Blitzcrank wasn't really in the meta. His Pyke's actually pretty good. We didn't see him play Pyke at Worlds, but his Pyke was pretty good. Anything with a hook, he's got it. Like, he's so clean at it. And then we also have, like, let's start. The game started off right away. I hate, personally, I've said this at the beginning of the thing, the shoutcasters were getting excited because it was G2 Pyke, and everyone, we do love G2 Pyke, you know? But the second they put Pyke into the mid lane instead of the Ryze, I thought the Pyke was going top against the GP. But the second they put him against Ryze in the mid lane, or against Nautilus in the mid lane, I'm like, that's a terrible, terrible decision. I get Pyke can roam, but Pyke can only roam as a support. He can't roam as a mid laner anymore or top laner because he doesn't have wave clear at all. He has like a negative wave clear. So that's what we saw Doinby by, I believe, level 2 walking over here. He's like, all right, peace. I'm leaving mid lane. Don't need to be here anymore. And then I think he walked back, and then he walked back at level 3. He came right back here, and then he teleported onto the minion wave because Ryze was going to try and clear that minion wave quickly. And this needed to be a bang-bang play up top because immediately Caps teleported in and Jankos was coming in as well. So that teleport actually forced Caps to teleport immediately. So Caps actually missed some CS in mid lane, and by doing that, they got the dive onto Wunder very quickly and killed him like that and got out with no deaths. So it's a three-man kill about, 3 minutes into the game. You've already got Wunder on tilt. You got without flash. You got Gimgoon stabilized in the top lane as I thought Gimgoon's personally better in Wunder, I said last podcast, but like I understand that some people don't agree with that, but Gimgoon's very solid. I think he proved that this series as well. By getting him that kill against Wunder's Ryze, it helped stabilize him because obviously Wunder almost Flame Horizon to him, even though Wunder was 1-7. Ryze is just a really good pick in the GP personally, but after that play, immediately TN ganked again. Ryze didn't have flash. Wunder pushed up a little too far. Got baited right into TN for the Lee Sin and got another kill on Wunder. Wunder was down TP and teleport by 4 minutes into the game or so, and 2 deaths. Like, it was already, top lane was essentially lost by 4 minutes into the game, and it didn't really recover. Though the game around it was pretty close. FPX did die, or TN got caught out. It was a very clean play by Caps and Perks to kill TN there. And then, for the most part, as you can tell, the game was always within 1 to 2k gold. So this game, 1k gold lead for even G2 here. It was very, very, very close. It was just after this massive team fight, 4-for-1. FPX, they showed that they are the team fighting gods. Like, we've talked about them all year in the LPL, that they are the best team fighting team in the world, possibly one of the best team fighting teams ever to play the game of League of Legends. But like, they executed everything exactly how they wanted to. Doinby always set up all this stuff with Nautilus, just like he's done all year. You had LWX. Also, by the way, this is a very difficult comp to succeed on for G2 because you have no disengage now that Tahm Kench has like kind of been nerfed on the disengage effect where he can't really move after he eats you. Like, that's all you have. I guess you have Ryze ult, but doing a Ryze ult in the middle of a team fight isn't really gonna you're probably gonna get CC'd, and Elise can't disengage outside of going up. So you have tiny bits of disengage, but not enough. Where Fun Plus Phoenix has Lee Sin, who's going to go at you. You have Gangplank ult to pop right down in the middle of a team fight. You have point and click from Nautilus ult and Nautilus CC with his hook and his auto attacks. And the AoE from the Gangplank ult and the Nautilus E is a lot of like unexpected damage that you might take by not being even near anyone. And then of course also the AoE from Sivir ricochets. Like you had Sivir ricochets going all over the place. Tons of AoE damage. You could be in the middle, like in the middle of your team line. You could have your front line, which who's your front line in this case? It's Wunder on the Rise. It's not the best front line, you know. But you could be like Varus, or let's say Elise, because Varus is backline, but like Elise in the middle of the team fight, and you're getting hit by everything without even being there because you have the Gangplank ult, the Nautilus E that might be focused on Wunder, and the Sivir ricochets going off. You could be half health like that without even being the focus of the enemy team. And that's, I mean, outside of this was a crazy good play by. Actually, we're gonna show a lot of plays today. Screw it, it's the last podcast. Why not? Brian, you're in for a treat for some of these plays. The G2 kind of rushed an inhib here. I didn't think it was too bad. Shout out to this guy, got a perfect pick'ems, and apparently he watches almost every single league. So shout out to him. He's much better than me at actually picking things. Apparently, here's the game one save on the kick. This was G2 like last super desperation because Fun Plus Phoenix was gonna win. Watch TN here too. TN coming in right here. Boom. And it's not only that. It's not only that. Look at this hook by Chris. Right there. He hits Perkz before Perkz can flash out of the way, or I believe Perkz had QSS, but he didn't use it. So like he just hit that perfect into the hook, which stunned him, into the perfect. It just lined up perfectly with the Lee Sin ult, which completely saved them. It was insane. It was. TN had a lot of good ult. We'll see quite a few of them. There's a reason why I won MVP. For sure. But yeah, that was pretty much at that point. That was right here. Then they went immediately to get the Elder Drake, and then after that they went immediately to get the Baron. And Elder Drake plus Baron against this, you don't really have. You have like wave clear with Varus and Rise, but they can't really wave clear too well against Baron minions, you know. And it was just over from that point. What was the no one clipped it because it was just a play that I like to. I love to see from LPL teams in general. They were sieging down the mid inhib right here, and yeah, Brian just said, oh boy, he's all right according to TN, because Brian's been not really, but sort of flaming FPX and TN in general, saying, oh man, he sucks. You had him as third best player or whatever. Yeah, he's been popping off, but. Wunder was right here, as you can see, this death. Wunder was right here, full HP, level 16 Rise. He's got Seraphs, he's got a lot of HP, you know. Doinby is about right here, at about 15% HP, maybe less. In LPL fashion, he's like, you know what's a good idea? I'm at 15% HP. I'm just gonna flash over this wall and hook Rise, guys. I think that's a smart idea to do. I think we should be doing that. And he did. And it caught Wunder completely off guard. Wunder got completely caught there, and it let FPX eventually end the game. Actually, they ended the game off Wunder dying there, but they actually got a tower off of that by doing that, and it was crazy. It was a very exciting first game. I was so looking forward to the rest of the series. Unfortunately, G2 wasn't, apparently, because game number 2, oh man, FPX just baited us. They completely baited us. You see, they pick Rise, okay, like very risky by G2, but they see that they needed to ban Nautilus because not only can Doinby play it, but Crisp can play it to an excellent level. They have to ban Qiyana because that's TN's best jungler, which gives him his second best jungler, Lee Sin, all 3 games, which is unfortunate. Like, people might be like, ban Lee Sin. You can't. You just can't. It's on red side, you have to ban Pantheon, and then you can't waste both bans on Lee Sin and Qiyana on TN. He has other junglers as well. They're not maybe as strong as his Lee Sin and Qiyana, but then you're giving 0 bans over the Doinby, 0 bans over the LWX, 0 bans to Crisp. Like, they have everything they need then to facilitate around TN from there. But they played a very, very snowbally team comp with Akali up top, Tristana in the mid lane, Yasuo, Gragas, or support, or ADC support, and Elise bot or jungle. If this team comp does not get ahead, it's not going to be a good game. This team comp did not get ahead. As you can tell, they got a good Infernal. Jankos actually never missed one smite all series. That was the only positive thing you could really say from Jankos' performance at Worlds or at the Worlds Finals. Outside of that, he just got completely destroyed by TN. So Jankos goes in, smites the Infernal Drake, gets that, but then immediately LWX follows that up with an instant kill on Caps, and then TN just survive. I don't even. There's so many plays that I wish I would have clipped while I was watching because they're like so like tiny plays that aren't going to be on like top page of Reddit, but they were like so good. Like TN went from here to here to here in the middle of like 4 people on G2 and took like 95% of his HP, but stayed alive just long enough to get a kick onto Jankos. I believe he got a kick onto Jankos, and it killed him pretty much instantly after that. And then Perkz ulted, and then like because Yasuo ult kind of gets you stuck, you go to the team as well. That kind of got him stuck into FPX, and that got him killed as well. So they gave up the Infernal, but they got 2 kills over to Kai'Sa, which Kai'Sa snowballing into this team. Like, this team has almost 0 range outside of Tristana, so giving Kai'Sa such a big snowball, and she was already winning by, I believe, 15-20 CS in the laning phase, going just against the G2 Yasuo as the melee, and FunPlusPhoenix bought the Galio. They knew exactly. FunPlusPhoenix did their homework. And it's a big shout out to their coach, the Warhorse, the former coach of Flash Wolves, and just huge shout out. He knew exactly how to prepare against the Xayah for Perkz. They just won these bot lane battles back and forth. They made sure G2 had to ban Xayah in the first game, so then they had to play something weaker than Xayah or Kai'Sa, and FPX was totally fine with Sivir because of the team comp they had to go around her. Then the second game they banned Xayah, they forced Perkz off of that. The G2 makes a very questionable decision to take Gragas first pick to leave Kai'Sa open. I guess if you were going Gragas Yasuo, you kind of knew like you needed Gragas, obviously, for that combination. But FunPlusPhoenix was absolutely ready for that. They waited till their final pick. Their final pick was the Galio support to counter it, and it worked very, very well. So they had done their research on what counters the bot lane for Gragas Yasuo, because this is the best Gragas Yasuo in the world. So they knew exactly, and it went 0-10. Like, there's so much, like, very good. Like, remember when I said to fire Fanatics analysts or like coaching staff that said that FunPlusPhoenix is a joke of a team, like a super easy team for them? Like, give FunPlusPhoenix's coaching staff a raise. They clearly did their homework into G2 and knew the ins and outs of this team and how to counter them. Yeah, also Doinb on Rise is, again, I think even though Faker has more history on Rise, Doinb at the moment is the best Rise in the world. Even better than Faker's at the moment. It's disgusting. Look, I'm telling you, it's the righteous glory, man. He doesn't necessarily build the rivalize with it anymore, but the righteous glory is every single game. Oh man, let's see. Was there any plays? I'm gonna just grab a couple plays because I'm gonna try and remember. But while that happened, Pantheon, by the way, only got played 1 time all Worlds. I thought that was quite interesting, to be honest. I didn't realize Pantheon was so broken until this Worlds. Look at that. TL was the only team outside the LPL to win a best of 5 against the LPL this year. Let's go NA. Woo! Second best region. There's no sarcasm there. That's absolutely. I'm covering it with my finger. Second best region. Oh man. But yeah, it was quite interesting. Where are all the plays? TN denying the escape. Oh, that was game 1, right? Yeah, that was game 1. We will see that. Crazy hook from Chris. We'll just pull that one up. Cap's great escape. Man, we don't need it. It was a cool play. I'll show that one too. Screw it. I gotta show a little bit of help from them, you know? Give me like 30 more, like 15 seconds, 10 seconds even. This was me. Brock got banned from LS's chat today during this, by the way. During this moment, Brock said something to LS that was not the nicest thing. Brock can be a little toxic sometimes, but during LS's rant about how much Doinby sucks and Lee Sin sucks after Lee Sin literally carried Tien, or like Tien just carried 3 games in a row on Lee Sin, and how Doinby just performed phenomenally. Like Brock went in the chat, he's like, "There's a." I don't even want to say it, but it was too funny. It's too funny. Brock said, "There's a reason because Ellis was saying the other analysts are all wrong." And that they're actually trash, and Lee Sin's a trash champion. And Brock said, "There's a reason that those analysts are at Worlds and you're at your home bitching about it." I think that's it. And that's all. That's all we're gonna get. So a few of these plays are from game 1, so we'll just go real quick. This was Cap. This is a really cool play, but it's a terrible play, and they get saved. Let's just say that. Terrible teleport by Cap. Like, yikes. And then dodges and gets in by an inch. The issue is you burnt so many summoners here that SPX was eventually able to win a team fight right after that. It looked pretty cool. But it really hurt G2. You burnt teleport, flash, everything. Wonders all, and then Fumbles Phoenix punished him for that. This is kind of what happened at the end of game, or this is kind of what ended game 1. I should have shown this earlier when I was talking about game 1. This was so sick by Tien. They catch out Mickey, which they caught out Mickey a lot. Mickey looked very poor on the Tomcat. Like, it looked like it was definitely a take it away from Chris. We're not that experienced with it.
There goes the teleport.
Guys,
gets the double kill for FPX. The flash to gap test.
The guy had ults all day. And then finally, let's talk game 3 real quick so we can talk about this final play. But man, game 3, it was 10-8 in score-wise, but this game was actually more of a blowout than game 1. As you can tell, G2 really never had the lead outside of like a 61 gold lead at 5 minutes. But you had all these objectives were always going to FPX. Also, again, amazing drafting by FPX. They ban out Kai'Sa, so they force G2 into being, again, they forced them in game 1 to ban the Xayah. Even though LWX does not really play Xayah. It's not one of his best champs. But, so the G2 had to let the risk. They're like, we need to give Xayah over, or we need to keep Xayah open. Hopefully they won't pick it. Hopefully they'll pick the Nautilus, because we didn't ban Nautilus for it. Instantly FPX locks in Xayah, and I'm like, damn, that's a ballsy move to take the champion away from him now. But it's another 3rd time in a row denying perk Xayah. Varus, Yasuo, Ezreal, those are all decent champions, but they're definitely in the tier below Xayah, Kai'Sa. And your Perks has obviously been one of the best tournament players at the tournament, but I would say like arguably top 2 now. I would say top 1 before this but you can probably argue that Tien or even Chris probably perform better at Worlds now because of this finals. But you had him on 3 of the weaker tier champions, and that's exactly what you need to do against G2. And you got to hit him in the mouth. Like, Fumbles Phoenix, we talked about this against IG. It's not sloppy gameplay. It looks sloppy, but it's not. It's forcing teams to play uncomfortable. You're forcing teams to play in a spot that they are not expected to be in. They don't expect you to attack them there. And when you do attack them, they get caught off guard, and you create so many advantages off of those high-risk plays. Sometimes it fails. Sometimes, like in the IG series, there's a lot of sloppy back and forth because they were both doing that. But that is just the way to play League of Legends now. The way of Korea is dead. I'm telling you guys. My mission next spring, if it's not already, is that we need to unbrainwash people that the way of Korean League of Legends is the perfect way to play League. That's not the case anymore. It's the reason why, not to throw too much shade at Korea, the last 2 years international tournaments, NA has just as many finalists as Korea does. Just throw that out. The last 4 international tournaments, Kingzone versus RNG, IG versus Fnatic, Team Liquid versus G2, Fumbles Phoenix versus G2. Like RNG is a team fighting team. They're slower, but they are absolutely about the team fight. They're not necessarily about the split push or the vision control. They're all about team fighting with Uzi. Kingzone, obviously Korean. They're very macro oriented. Worlds last year, Fnatic, all about aggressive team fighting. IG is psychopath. They are literally just psychopaths. They will take any fight they want because that's what they want to do. They only want a team fight. If Professional League was on ARAM, they would prefer that, as long as they get to pick their champions, just so they're only fighting. That's IG. They won Worlds. Then next year, Team Liquid is a team fighting team, but they try to have macro, but it doesn't really work. They're not a very good split pushing team at all. Again, G2, very heavy team fighting team, but they do have a good split push. G2 is one of the exceptions where they do have a good split push, but they're also disgusting on the team fights at the same time. But I don't think they're quite at the LPL's level yet, which has shown. I mean, G2 went 0-5 against LPL teams, and that's the weirdest thing to think about. G2 did not have one single win against an LPL team all year. And like it's very interesting because G2 has dominated Korea, G2 dominated NA, they dominated EU. Just the LPL is their bane because G2 has adapted to the LPL style, so the LPL teams are much more comfortable going against G2's style than say Korea or NA or even EU. All those other regions are so far behind. And that's why G2's won MSI. It's why they won Worlds. I still think if IG beats Team Liquid, G2 probably doesn't win MSI. I really think that. And the winner obviously this year, FunPlus Phoenix, super team fighting team. They don't care about the split push whatsoever. It's just the way the game has changed. I'm sorry to everyone who loves perfect laning phase, perfect vision. Don't take any risks. Let the enemy come to you and then punish them for it. Like, set up everything in nice and controlled, in a nice controlled environment. It's just not how League works anymore. They nerfed vision ward. They got rid of tracking knife. They nerfed sightstone wards to be 30 seconds less than they used to be. That's just. I'm sorry, Brian. I feel like I'm hating on your vision because vision is important. Vision and split pushing are still important. They're just not the main ingredient to winning, like, the game. Yeah, vision is more important than split pushing. I will say that. I will say that split pushing is taking like the back end seat, and I love to compare it with football. With like the running backs in the 70s, you always needed a good running back, and you did not need a really big quarterback. And now it's like now in NFL, you always need a good quarterback. Like to be successful in the NFL, you need an all-star quarterback. It's kind of the same in League now. To be successful in League now, you have to have exceptionally good mechanically skilled players, and they all need to be excellent team fighters. You can't have people that are just like going off on their own. You can't have those random Jax Fiora mains that never want to see a team fight ever. Vision still plays a big key, but it's not as important as it used to be because it can't be. It's not enough time anymore compared to what it used to be. And sometimes you have to take. LPL teams are willing to take blind risks a lot more often. And they get rewarded for those blind risks quite often because enemy teams are like, they're not going to come in from there, like they don't have the vision around there. We're good. Like we can be confident that they're not going to strike, and they do. But yeah, they did. FunPlus Phoenix played the Galio mid, so Doinby played Nautilus, Ryze, and Galio in the mid lane. You can't ban this man out. I had a very big, very, very big issue with this Akali ban by G2. I think Doinby does not play Akali. He does not play Akali. Gimgoon doesn't really play Akali either. You left Gimgoon's Gangplank, and this guy is like Impact, except he might be better than Impact at absorbing pressure. Like, he is such a good Gangplank. It's the classic, like, I can't say unskilled top laner, but like safe top laner that you can absorb a ton of pressure with Gangplank, no matter the situation. And I just wanted to show this final play from this game. It was towards the very end. It sealed the game, to be honest. But watch Crisp here. It's disgusting.
Phoenix, accelerating ahead. Nearly 5,000 gold.
Observers once again show the truth.
Flash max range hook across the entire wall. And just ended the game. Like, because that point on, they just ended the game from there. And man, it's just Chris was landing hooks like this all day. I really wish we can show it. I'll try my best to explain. Actually, no. let's do a deep dive. Let's do a deep dive because I really want to show one play from Crisp that I thought was one of the best Thresh plays I have ever seen in my life. Like, I gotta find it. So while I'm talking about this, we could talk about what we think is next for League. Brian said I do that all the time. Yeah, let's talk about Brian's Thresh. It's amazing. Brian's Thresh pops off quite often. Brian is actually very good at hook champions. He has some games that are a little risky, but you know we all have games like that. I just made a terrible call today and lost our team the game, so we're all like that. I want to see. Did they take Baron there? Yeah, okay. So, okay, here. It's right here. Okay, right here. Watch Crisp and watch Doinby. And we're gonna full screen this. So Crisp is here. Doinby's like right here. So Doinby's here. Watch Crisp. Doinby tries to get out. He gets stunned. He gets taunted. He gets that lantern out, gets it in just in time, and then hooks and ults Mickey. So then all of a sudden, Doinby, who's expected to die, here, let's slow it down a little bit here, because it's very quick. Let's slow it down to 0.5, mute it because the sound will be annoying. But so Doinby, he throws the lantern out to save Doinby, and he gets it just in range for Doinby to pick it up before it's also a little bit of luck. He got it in before the baby cage from Vigar and before Mickey's hook. The Mickey's hook misses Doinby and lands right on that wall. So Gimgoon immediately, as you can see, even right as this hook is thrown by Mickey, he's winding up like that. Boom. Winding up, grabs Mickey, pulls him in, flays him back in, and all of a sudden it's a 1-for-none on FPX where they should not be getting that whatsoever. Like, at all. And then followed this up by about a minute later. Let's see, maybe a few seconds before a minute, and then we gotta go live to one. Gotta find it. It was very close. It was on the Baron. This is one of the cleanest escapes I've ever seen from a team. So let's put this on. Let's put the sound back on because it's more interesting that way. So this was like pretty much immediately after that play.
And it will be secured by TN and FPX, but at what cost? The winds of war come out, and as the feathers fly, they're pulled backwards. That lands a root onto Mickey. Hero's entrance is the escape route.
Like they make sure that G2 cannot jump in at all here. Like, they have no shot for, like, a Nautilus Q or a Flash Wonder Stun or even, like, I guess Jankos can't really do a flag and drag because of the flag here. But, like, none of them can get in because of this Doinby ult. Like, Doinby is ulting to provide an AoE to get all three of these guys to cover, and then standing right for him there. So instead of being able to pick Doinby off, Crisp had that lantern set at the perfect spot, gets him out. Now everyone's out for free when they should be punished for taking a Baron at that. Like, G2 only had G2 had no one dead, and G2 was kind of in a reset mode a little bit, but they were close enough to stop that Baron, and Fumble Phoenix didn't care. They took the Baron anyway. They were up only about, because it's 1.5k gold for Baron, so they were only up about 1.5k gold. They could have easily thrown at that Baron and got G2 right back in the series, but they didn't, and they escaped beautifully. And that's pretty much wrapped it up, because after that they just pushed down because they just have no wave clear against Baron minions, and just the amount of CC chain that they can have with Galio and Thresh, and then the amount of damage with Lee Sin, Xayah, and Gangplank. It's pretty much it. And Fumble Phoenix won. That's how Worlds went. So I have here as well, real quickly. We'll go through these pretty quickly because it's not as important. Let me just have us setting these up here. My Worlds performance by expectations. Let's go by Worlds power rankings. So my post-Worlds power rankings: FPX number 1, G2 still number 2, SKT still number 3. I've bumped IG to 4. So let's actually do it by what happened at Worlds. IG got bumped up to 4. Damwon gets bumped up to 5. Griffin bumped up to 6. Splice all the way bumped up to 7. I think Splice performed phenomenally at Worlds this year. That was one of the best Worlds performances I've seen from a team with their expectations. RNG dropped to the 8th place. Fnatic dropped to 9th, I thought. J-Team bumped up to 10th. I feel like after they won a game against FunPlus Phoenix, they should be ranked higher. But we really saw the FunPlus Phoenix team we saw today was the one that we saw from the LPL. The FunPlus Phoenix team against J-Team was the FunPlus Phoenix team that we see from a young team, a very young team outside of Doinby. I think they're all under 20 outside of that, and they're all first time international stage. Those jitters were pretty bad, especially on LWX, who, by the way, did not die once at Worlds Finals. After having such a bad first game, that kind of really stuck with him for throughout all of Worlds, because it's kind of the first time anyone had seen him, and he looked so bad, like really bad. That kind of stuck with him, that kind of mantra, which originally I had him as a top 3 ADC coming in, but even I was doubting his performances after the first few games. He did not look good, but he really stepped it up. He didn't even die. First player to ever not die at a World Finals. Gimgoon would have been there with him, but he died 3 seconds before the final. 3 seconds before the end of the game, Gimgoon died, sadly. Oh, man. No, that was his first death of the series. Team Liquid dropped down to 11th for me from 7th. Unicorns of Love went up. I thought they were a very good team. So close. Isurus, so close at number 13. I thought they had a great performance. Cloud9 dropped to the 14th best team. Clutch Gaming dropped to the 15th. HKA moved up. GAM went down. 16th. Actually, no, yes. HQ went up. No. HQ stayed the same. Mammoth stayed the same. Loki went down. DFM went down. Royal Youth went down. And Flamingo and Mega kind of stayed the same. From that perspective, that's kind of how I saw the best of the best teams. So that's just off of just pure the teams at Worlds, you know. Now, off of, because you can't give everyone the same expectations. So that's what this second list is over here. FPX won Worlds. They're going to be first no matter what their expectations. Their expectations were to win Worlds. They won Worlds. They can't exceed that expectation, but they still won Worlds, so they kind of win by default. Makes sense. Splice was by far and away the best performing team for where their expectations were originally. I originally had them getting eliminated in the wildcard region to Isurus Gaming. I thought Isurus Gaming would actually take the first seed from them, and then depending on that, I was wondering if Splice would face Damwon for the second seed, and they actually would have ended up facing HKA if it was the same as Isurus, but so they probably would have moved on either way. But Splice, I thought Splice was pretty weak coming in, and I thought they were going to be one of the few. There's only been one, and it was HKA 2 years ago, but that was the only team that's ever been a first seed in eliminating. I thought Splice was going to join them. Mammoth, the 19th seed, if you remember them from the OPL, they performed so admirably against. They had Clutch Gaming and Unicorns of Love in their bracket, and they went to a 3-way tie with them, and no one expected much from them, and no one ever expected much from the OPL, and they had a very tough bracket with Clutch and Unicorns of Love, so that was very impressive to see. G2, same thing, just B tier, or they went to a B, I guess I should say. It was a very good performance, and I think that it was admirably fought. They did get crushed to FunPlus Phoenix, but they did beat SKT on the way, and according to LS, man, I've been flaming LS all podcast. I will say, I used to like LS quite a bit. I lost a lot of respect for LS this podcast, or this world, so man, his saltiness towards the LPL style of play is insane. But G2, well, LS said that G2 beat 2 Korean teams, which is more impressive than winning the World's Finals against a European team. You think G2 feels accomplished? Well, we beat 2 Korean teams. I'm sure they felt great today because of that. Come on now. Insane. Unicorns of Love, so close, so close. They actually almost beat Splice. Like, we almost never had this miracle run by Splice. If you remember back in the Wildcard podcast, they went to 5 games with Splice and pulled it that close. They were that close to beating Splice and actually being a Wildcard team to move on. And man, they were the best Wildcard team. I had Royal Youth as the best Wildcard team coming in, and Unicorns of Love were right there with them, like about this far difference, not that much. But man, one showed up, one did not, and that's why one of them is way down at the bottom. HKA, again, I thought they were going to have a terrible tournament. I thought the LMS was quite bad this year. I've made that point loud and clear quite often. And J-Team showed up big time. I thought J-Team was the only legitimate team coming in from the LMS. But HKA proved that they went 0-6 in group stage, but they worked hard to make it to group stage, and then they played competitive against Cloud9, G2, and Griffin. They played competitive in about 5 of those 6 games. So you got to give them credit. That was a tough group. They weren't expecting to win any, and they gave it their best shot. Like, it was a very good tournament for a team that I had in F tier. Like, I thought it was one of the worst teams coming in. DFM, same thing. It's unfortunate for them that they had Splice and Isurus. It was one of the worst drawings they could make, but they made the best of it. They did take down Splice in a game, and it was just like DFM, like they had a real shot. They unfortunately lost that. I think it was like a 65-minute game to Isurus, but like outside of losing that game, they would have moved on, and we would have saw more from them. So I'm very excited. Japan is still growing, very growing thing. DFM is still in my heart. I still love them, and I hope they'll be back at MSI in next split. IG gave them a C. Felt like they could have done more. I had a really high expectation. Most people would probably give them a higher grade. I had IG as the 6th best team coming into Worlds. So, like, I had very high expectations for them. I expected them to make finals. They did run into FunPlus Phoenix. I didn't expect them to make finals after that. But, like, coming into Worlds, I was thinking that IG was going to be I picked them to win Worlds last year as a dark horse, and they did. And I didn't have the same confidence of that because FunPlus was in this tournament, and G2 as well. I thought G2 could probably beat IG. It's tough to say now, potentially, because it might just be that the LPL teams are so aggressive, and G2 doesn't get enough practice against that kind of hyper-aggression against EU and NA. Like the few times they play NA and Rift Rivals, mostly EU. They don't get that type of practice. So I wonder if... I don't know. It's very interesting that they have not won a single game against an LPL team since beating RNG last year in the quarterfinals. Completely different team as well. Yeah, and then we'll just go Griffin. Griffin had a good one. J-Team had good, like the season Ds are. J-Team had a good. They outperformed more than most people expected. I was very glad for that. Isurus, I think they performed admirably. Flamingo gave it a damn good shot. They were in a very, very tough group, and they brought it all the way to tiebreaker for Royal Youth, and they almost made it. So that was a good showing from Brazil. Finally, Brazil hadn't had a good showing ever because INTZ was getting in there and stealing the spot from Flamingo. Flamingo finally made it, and they performed they performed very good. You had BRTT on the Draven pop off. I don't know why Royal Youth gave him that. Still think that was a terrible decision, but yeah, all in all, a good time. Mega as well. Thought they were the worst team coming into the tournament. Did not get to see many of their games because they weren't broadcasted. It's kind of hard to see them when they're not there. And they almost play solo queue games type situation. But yeah, I didn't have any expectations for them. And they got a pretty weak group with Loki and HKA, but they made the best of it. And they were about... They didn't know how to close a game. That was their issue. They could never close a game against teams, and they let them back in too many times. So hopefully they can work on that. Now that they're actually merging with the LMS, I think it's going to be very, very helpful for Mega. I think Mega can easily compete with the LMS, but the LMS, even though it's weak as a major region, it's definitely not a major region anymore in my opinion, but even though it's weak as a major region, it's much better than what Mega is typically facing in the regular season. So that should help them improve tremendously. And hopefully that they should still be good enough to make a run for Worlds every year. My fails, there's 13 passes, 11 fails. My 11 fails. SKT, it's a failure. It sucks to say they made the semifinals, but their only a way to win was to win the whole thing. And to be honest, they looked really good in group stage, but they did not look great against Splice. They looked good for 2 games, and then they looked pretty bad for 2 games. And it was against Splice, to be honest. It's not like and Splice was a miracle run type style team, but it's not like it's not a powerhouse for a quarterfinals team like some of the other teams will face. Like you're G2 versus Damwon, IG versus Griffin, FunPlus Phoenix versus Fnatic. All these other teams had such tougher draws, so to struggle in it was kind of questionable. I kind of let it pass. I thought maybe they just weren't taking it as seriously, maybe. But then they looked really, really bad against G2 as well. So like that comes with a fail, unfortunately. Faker had a very bad Worlds after group stage. I bought in the SKT. Listen, I wish I would just completely ignored everything. It's what best of ones do to you. It's why I suck at picking an A. Best of ones do not really mean much when it comes to the best of fives, as we saw. FunPlus Phoenix didn't look very good in best of ones. They looked amazing. G2 got second place in the group stage. They didn't look great in their best of ones either, and they got second place. SKT looked dominant, then they looked kind of shaky. And I bought all in. I saw G2 being shaky. I saw FunPlus Phoenix being shaky. I'm like, man, I'm gonna move SKT up to my winner. I had them beating FunPlus Phoenix in this Worlds, and after I had been on FunPlus Phoenix's like high all year, I flip flopped because of some stupid best of one games, and it cost me. I think I got 50 some points, but I don't know if that's enough. I don't know exactly, but yeah. Damwon, same thing. We kind of knew going in. The Damwon was supposed to be one of the best teams in the world. They kind of got crushed at G2. Same exact thing. They look great in the best of ones. Did not look very good in the best of fives. RNG, they've looked amazing in the best of ones. Didn't make it the best of five. But so you got to just eliminate. They are an S tier team that got eliminated in group stage. It's unfortunate for them. They're probably one of the best D teams here. But, you know, what can you do? Team Liquid sucked. Fantastic first day. Beat Damwon. Was very competitive with IG. Back and forth game. Just lost because the Shy being the Shy. Man, I wish for those days back. Because week 2 sucked. They looked terrible in every game. HQ, same thing. They did not look very good. Clutch Gaming, they didn't look good at all. Low-key didn't look very good. I'm trying to speed up a little bit because my throat is super parched and I still want to do a few little things. I'm losing my voice a little bit, I could tell. And then my fails were Fnatic, even though Fnatic moved past. It sounds weird because RNG didn't make it. But if you've watched the podcast, you know I believed RNG had 5 good games in groups. Fnatic only had 2 good games in groups. And Fnatic, to be honest, only really had 2 good games all of Worlds, as they got kind of crushed at FunPlus Phoenix after that. So I think that's a fail. If you're an S tier team and you only have 2 good games all of Worlds, not going to cut it. C9 failed. They did not look competitive in any game. They looked even bad against HKA. Very bad World. One of the worst Worlds ever from Cloud9. Royal Youth, same thing. I thought they were the best wildcard team, and then they just got slapped in the face by Clutch Gaming. I thought that was a very winnable series, and to be honest, having to go to the tiebreaker with Flamingo, which should have been the first red flag in the first place. So, yeah, that's a failure for them. And unfortunately, my biggest failure of Worlds is GAM. I was so hyped for GAM coming into Worlds. They were the best Vietnam team. They formed the Vietnam super team. They got Levi back. They got Zeros back. They had everyone on the team. And then they just sucked. They completely sucked. I guess it kind of matched with Splice having the miracle run as well. And J-Team stepping up a lot too. But GAM really stepped down. They stepped down really, but they did not look aggressive in many of their games. They did not play their own style. They tried to play more safe and reserved. And against a team like Splice, you do not want to play the Splice's style against Splice. They're going to beat you. But with that should be all of our Worlds coverage. Let's just briefly talk about... Oopsies, that's not supposed to be there. Let's briefly talk about, before we wrap up, our total predictions this summer split. I should have made a spring split one. I didn't, unfortunately. But I also didn't follow all the leagues. I only followed the major regions. So here in spring split, or for summer split, this was our final results. In Worlds, we went 64-24 with 72.73% pick rate. I think that's very good for Worlds. I think that watching all the leagues really helped. I think we could have done better if we wouldn't have believed in as many wildcard teams as we did. But that kind of hurt a little bit by watching them dominate their region. And you're like, oh wow, they really are getting exposed here a little bit. But all in all, we had a terrible Rift Rivals because if I said it's memes, I swear, man. This is the NA Rift Rivals page. Can you? Come on. It really cost me. It cost me everything, man. So that was the only one under 50% was my pick rates. The closest one to that was LMS at 52.08% because I believed in the Flash Wolves all the way through the gauntlet, man. I predicted Flash Wolves to win the freaking gauntlet, and they got 3-0'd after finishing second to last place. I should have never done that. I just believed so hard. Like, nothing changed from the team. They just went from really, really good in the LMS into competitive on the world stage to garbage with nothing changing. It was very odd. It's a very, very odd performance. But yeah, you got my highest one was Japan, technically. Japan was my 75%. It was the only one that had a 75%. Second highest was, roughly that doesn't count, but was the LPL with a 73.85%. I'm more impressed with the LPL one than the LJL one because LJL is pretty easy. You just pick DFM and Crest Gaming to win pretty much every single game, and you kind of win most of your games like that. The LPL is a lot more challenging. It's very, very competitive. You have 10 to 12 teams that can win on any single day, and even the bottom teams will put a scare through some people. And so I'm very, very proud of this 96 and 34 there. That was a 73.8, basically a 74% pick rate throughout the LPL year, and that's why it's one of my favorite regions. I just understand the region. I think I had a very high spring split for LPL as well. Like, yeah, just check. Yeah, it's 68% in LPL last split and 73% this split. That's very good. That's a 70+% over an entire year in one region. But yeah, that I think should do it. That's how we did this year. We're at all of our summer split teams. Our leagues, we picked all of them. Next year, spring split. We'll probably do the same thing. The LMS podcast will probably be in the wildcard podcast. So we'll have one less day, which actually helps a lot because I was thinking about doing academy, maybe like the academy leagues or some of the amateur leagues in Europe, but I don't have the time personally. And the wildcard podcast really got missed or delayed so many times because podcasts are really hard for me to do on Fridays, as I've said before. So by the LMS going into the wildcard podcast, we'll have a new schedule of LPL Sunday, NA Monday, LCK Tuesday, LEC Wednesday instead of Thursday, and then wildcard will be Thursday. And I think that will be a lot easier. Hopefully, I change up and make it a little more entertaining. We have some ideas we're shooting around, like always, but I want to do that. Like, I really want to do it for spring split and like get it all set and hyped up. Because I do want to do something like this eventually. You know, I just don't know how. The issue is I'm not good enough speaking wise to be on an analyst desk or anything like that. I can only do it here, as you probably know from watching. I struggle to speak sometimes, and that's not good on a live broadcast in front of millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people. And that's it. So I kind of would like. I think the end goal again is getting a media pass by 2021. That might be very difficult, but we'll try. That's a very lofty goal. Or it could be even trying to apply maybe for like an analyst position or something like that for a team. So something that doesn't necessarily have to be on camera and doing stuff. I'd love to be able to study film and stuff like that. And show teams different ways. I want to be that person that comes in NA and like, yo, stop doing the Korean style, please. Stop. We need to form the LPL style. We need to play fast pace. So I'm your guy. If anyone wants to know how to play it, I don't know necessarily how to play it. I know how to tell people how to play it, if that makes sense. But yeah, with that will be our last podcast for the year, guys. It was a blast doing them. We have Idol. Like, he's not here today, but Idol, one of our longtime viewers. He's constantly in the stream all the time. We got Ryan, who was a viewer on YouTube, commenting long posts. It's classic Ryan, as you probably know. He's got long posts, which are awesome. I love them because they're just like so I was like, I remember reading him on YouTube. I'm like, man, this guy knows way more than me. And then we invited him to Discord, and now he actually is. He shows up for the NA podcast now. And then thanks to Brian and Brock as well. Brock was unfortunately not able to do as many podcasts this year, but he will hopefully be back next year for at least NA. And then Brian as well helped here with the NA and the EU podcast, and is a 6-month subscriber, so he's funded the podcast himself. Yeah, thanks all of you guys. It's really fun. You got Nikki there as well, one of the viewers. I know like we don't have many viewers or like too many, but like I know all of you guys by like name, all the commenters and stuff, which makes it exciting. I love when Idol and Ryan come in here and like discuss things. I think it really makes the podcast more interesting when you have back and forth like that. So hopefully we have that next year. Hopefully we grow a little bit more and we have a better format. If I'm not a lazy asshole who just doesn't want to do anything. That's my issue. I just never want to do anything. I'm very, very lazy. So hopefully that changes. I get the format set. We look professional. We act professional. We're never going to act professional. But at least if we look professional, we get some more viewers, and then we get to know a bunch of new people and talk League of Legends. That's all. Pretty much all I want to do. We might do a podcast for off season, but outside of that, if you don't see one, that'll be it until the Demacia Cup in December. So thank you guys for watching again one last time, and we'll see you in December for the Demacia Cup. If not for that, if I'm like super busy at work for year end, January for spring season of 2020. Good night.